that is why we are talking and planning, making it part of the plan, putting it in there, and I'm very serious about making sure that that happens. Also in the redevelopment plan, it talks about demolition. There are a number of properties that are, some of them just foundations, some of them have collapsed. We have given them 12 months to get those cleaned up, but all of it has to be reviewed by the city. So we want to make sure that structures that are good and can be rehabbed are not taken down. And also within the year, they will identify the properties to be rehabbed. I know it has said that some of the plans may be around 60, but we will be getting addresses so we will know and be able to keep up with the maintenance and preservation of those. And they will be there are timelines to start and complete those rehabs by. And like I said, we will get into that even more when it comes to the two specific agreements. Also, at this time, the TIF, the way it works is broken down into RPAs, and then there is the first phase, which consists of RPA A and B, which is what would be activated once we pass that portion of the TIF. And so one of the things that I think gives comfort to myself and to others is knowing that it is a phased approach. So where some people have had doubts about if the developer will do what he says he's going to do, the first two areas to be developed are business centers, and that will give us a experience with the developer to see if things go as we have been told they would and as we put in here. And before you go to the next phase, and then you have to come back to the Board of Alderman and go through this process again. And so at that time, we have continual opportunities to say if the developer has not done what he said he would do, and then we don't have to move forward with the development. We have the ability to terminate our agreement. And so I have worked very hard with other aldermen and with a number of attorneys and city departments around the table, from my perspective, trying to make sure that there were protections and benefits as most as possible to protect the community, as well as to make sure that we have a great benefit from development occurring. In my mind, and in many people's minds, no question that the area needs development, and we've been working towards that end. But we need a significant amount of more development. We know the recession hit. Nobody knew that would happen, and so that has slowed things down tremendously. But the reality is things such as incentives such as TIFs and stimulus money and federal money were designed for areas like ours. And so while I have sat here and voted on and tried to support developments in other areas, and certainly have seen TIFs in other areas for as much as 100 plus, I think that $390 million for multiple projects in a huge area, which is for infrastructure, which will help all of the public, is certainly reasonable. And so I do have a problem with people who feel like, or say they're opposed to the TIF, because I just, like I said, I don't understand that, especially when some of them I've never seen come down here to oppose another TIF, when this is the first time we've brought a TIF like this to North St. Louis. Why anybody would oppose the TIF just on the say so, saying, well, the area, why should you get out, why not? That's what it's for. That's what it's for, and we need a whole lot more, and so does the rest of North St. Louis. And so, but once again, we can't move forward with incentives like this unless we have developers and we have people who are willing to go after private financing along with the public incentives to make it happen, or else it just won't happen in a large way. I mentioned that there are two specifics that agreements that have to be created still before the TIF is activated. Also in those, you will see time frames of times when they are to start, when they are complete. I know I mentioned that, I think, before also. But they will have to, if it's just like with a lot of our developers, if that doesn't happen, you have to explain why and show that you are making a good effort. And you may not have it complete, but maybe you're 3/4 of the way there. So we're not trying to, take anything away from anyone without a good reason. But it gives us the ability, if they're not able to get the financing they need, they can't just hold us hostage. And so, like I said, those protections are in there. I think that I've gotten some comments about the blighting. We've all discussed that very often, that we don't like the word blight, but every project that has been done in my ward, most all of them, we blighted the area to give the homeowner or else the business tax abatement. And so we know that the banks do understand blight. That's why we're able to blight the area, build homes, and people are still able to get bank loans. The bank would not be loaning them money if the blight is going to take down the value of the property. So they do understand that that means monies and tools and incentives are coming into an area because of the condition. And blight and condemnation are two different processes. This legislation that we have before you does not move for any condemnation processes. This says that the area is blighted. There are conditions that fall within that category and qualify us to be able to get public incentives to try to improve and redevelop the area. And that's what we hope to see happen. Lastly, I think that there have been some rumors and misinformation, and I say that because some of my colleagues have asked me about it. One big thing is saying, well, you know what, you turned around, you changed your mind, you sold us out, you've been bought off, and that's just absolutely not true. First of all, nobody can pay me to do anything, okay? People give contributions all the time because they want some relationship or they want something later on. I went back because I said, maybe I'm crazy, and I went back and I got a folder and I got more in my office of all the newspaper articles that have been coming out the last 3-4 years and looked at the things I said to see, you know, did I say in the articles anywhere that Paul McKee will never do anything in the city of St. Louis, or I will never talk to Paul McKee? And it just is not in there. What I've said, and I've continued, and I've been consistent with saying, is if Paul McKee wants to develop something in our ward or in the city, he needs to come to the table and talk to us. He needs to work with me. He needs to show me what his plan is, and he needs to show it to the community. What I've said in community meetings that I've been attending for the last 3 years is that whenever he decides to come, he has to come to the Board of Aldermen, and I will come to the community, and there will have to be public hearings. Since he came earlier this year, I had started having community meetings along with Alderwoman Marlene Davis for him to present his plan, for him to apologize to the community for the way that he went about it with the secrecy, which led a lot of people to distrust him, and to start to let people see who he is, explain to us what you're about. I don't think it's for me to go around and start trying to show or explain what he has in a plan. After seeing the plan, much of everything I've heard for 12 years and what we said we wanted in the 5th Ward plan after 22 community meetings is addressed in his plan. So what it really comes down to is the details of people understanding that we're not trying to take their homes. I'm not going to allow that. Also, you'll see in the relocation part of that, which is by law has to be in there, it talks about if there's any businesses that have to be moved or he's interested in moving because he has a larger company, he has to make every effort to relocate them in the ward. I don't see any reason not to. We got so much vacant land in areas along Broadway that's vacant, and we're trying to find businesses to go there. I want to be in the loop. SLDC wants to be in the loop to know who you're interested in purchasing so we can keep them in the area. So that's also addressed in the plan. We've continued, like I said, to have community meetings to try to let people see what the plan is, to hear them out, let him hear what their concerns are, so he's not just hearing it from me. I've told him many times, and we've had meetings good and bad, but you need to be able to hear it from the constituency. And like I said, what we have said that we wanted is in here. Reality is trying to get to where we can have it and people will be able to enjoy it and also benefit from job creation as well as services that may come because of it.